Hello, this is Running Robert, and today we're going to be talking about the Quince Therapeutics QNCX private placement summary. Today is the 16th of June, 2025, and what we'll be going over is the private placement that occurred late last week. We're going to be looking at the bullish and the bearish parts of it and kind of go from there. So I generally follow small cap pharma. I do games, I do a little bit of everything. So if you like what I'm doing, hey, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot, and thank you. Disclaimer is I own stock. I bought around $1.50 before the unfortunate plunge, but now it's recovering pretty well. I'm an amateur investor, and any advice given should be followed up by own due diligence, and any information given is valid for today, the 16th of June, and the slideshow will not be updated. But as we get into news, new slideshow. So it's dilution, but it's good dilution. So the company announced that the company sold 8.6 million shares plus the same amount of warrants for $1.32 for 11.5 million upfront and then 10.4 if the warrants are exercised. This was sold to a healthcare focused investor group or investor, and the stock reacted really well to this news with a 20% rise. So most time when you have some kind of dilution going on, it is negative. This one is not the typical dilution. As we've seen, most of the cases, the investor who has bought this 8.6 million shares, they're not going to sell them to the market. So that makes it a huge amount of difference when in a normal dilution, they say, hey, we're going to sell 8.6. They sell them into it. Stock goes down. So overall, it is very bullish since an investor is buying 11.5 million worth of shares. Like that is a bet that, yeah, that's a good bet. So talking about that, so the company had 31.6 at the end of the quarter. Now, of course, we add that 11.5 to that, and that cash would be about 43.1 million. Net loss was about 15. Cash used was only 9.6 in the last quarter. Again, most of that was R&D at 8.1. Admin is 4.8. And so you're looking at those numbers and you're like, I don't know if they're going to make it to early 2026, which is when the trial is supposed to be completed and data is supposed to be released. But the company reducing the trial should see the last patients in the end of June 2025. So the second quarter is probably going to look very similar as far as cash spent. But then the third and fourth quarters are definitely going to be a lot lower as people are finishing up the trials. The clinical trial itself, the company announced that it was discussing ending enrollment early. That means that there would be less patients, which means that they would have less power for statistical significance. Top line data early 2023. And at the moment, all 30 patients who have completed the trial have opted to be in the open label extension study. And the trial mainly targets 6 to 9 year olds. So, what is AT? It's a neurological disorder with most symptoms occurring between 5 and 10. There's no current long term treatment. And the point of the drug is to have a less active decline until the plateau phase. So, between 5 and 10, it's bad. You will, have a lot of regression. This drug is to kind of keep that down there because once a patient reaches 10 or older, they don't see much of a decline from that point on. There is still a decline, but it is not as much as that decline in the 5-10. So this is one of those drugs that is very important because they can get in there and have less decline. You're in great shape. Previous trials did show statistical improvement with a p-value below 0.05 with a p-value of 0.0016 in the 6 to 9 year olds. They are testing it in all patients, and they did see improvement, but it was not statistically significant. Again, you need a 0.05. The p-value for the total trial was 0.77. For the 6 to 9 year olds, it was well within that 0.05. The phase 3 trial is under a SPA, which is a special protocol assessment. That means they talked to the FDA. FDA said, do this, and you're good. Okay, simple enough. And there's between 30 and 70,000 patients who currently have this. The problem is they're at different ages, so it's very hard to determine how big, how many patients that you'll be able to get for it. But the business model is really where we're looking at. So rare disease pricing will most likely be between $200,000 and $600,000. Again, I'm estimating about 4,000 to 5,000 patients that are going to be in that range in the US. And if you look at it very simple, we're going to take simple math. 100 patients at $400K a treatment, that's $40 million in sales. That's it. That is very simple. And if you're looking at 40 million, that's only 100 patients. This should be pretty good. The company could partner or they could go alone since it isn't a rare disease. So rare diseases have this, they're different. Most of the rare disease populations have support groups and stuff like that. So when drugs come on the market, there's not I need to talk to, 100,000 physicians. There was, I need to target trying to find those people or find those doctors that are prescribing this. So it's a much more targeted approach, which means you do not have to have a huge sales force, which means smaller companies can do it alone. So the summary, this is definitely now a medium risk, high reward. I think the risk went down. However, people still need to be comfortable losing everything they invest on the stock. However, investors don't make $11 million bets unless they have some confidence. It is simple enough to look at. I have a small position myself to help mitigate the risk. The market cap is 65 million, which is why I stay in it. Obviously, if this drug makes it to market and it's positive, you are looking at, a stock that might go 10 to 20 times larger than it is now. And when you're looking at that, it means you're buying at 1, you're selling at 20. You got to like that. So hopefully this gave you some good information. Thank you very much for helping, for listening and watching and listening. Wow, it's late. And I hope you have a wonderful day.